The Tube, 150 years ago this week, but is really starting to show its age. As debris hit the tracks on the westbound Central Line at Oxford Circus Station this morning, after part of the ceiling collapsed, no one was hurt, but the station was closed for a while. Also on the Central Line, a train had to be taken out of service at Notting Hill Gate during the morning rush hour, with the driver blaming brakes failure. But nevertheless, events are being held this week to celebrate that 150th birthday. It was in January 1863 that a steam train travelled the 5 miles through tunnels on the Metropolitan line from Paddington to Farringdon, and the Tube was born. And we'll be marking this milestone with a series of special reports this week. The first of them now from Ria Chatterjee.
You can't hear the rattle and hum of the Tube train, but it's a sound Londoners would by this point have been accustomed to for nearly half a century. On the opening day in 1863, thousands queued to experience this new novelty, one that would transform the city.
The Tube, if it did one thing in a sentence, it made London into a commuter city. It was the idea of a man called Charles Pearson, who was the solicitor to the Corporation of London. And he saw how the poor in London were living in rookeries, crowded slums in the very centre of London, in what are considered now very desirable parts of London, you know, like Covent Garden and Clerkenwell. And he thought they would have a better life if they could live in the countryside. And he'd noted the way that they would take railway excursions out of London on a Sunday, and they would come back with a flower, and they would put the flower in a teapot on their mantelpiece to remind them of the countryside. So he thought that they should commute.
But there was a more immediate problem. The roads between London's major railway stations were extremely clogged, and so the Metropolitan Railway Company took on the challenge of relieving the congestion. Over the years, one line sprouted into a subterranean labyrinth. The underground network is sprawling, and back in 1933, an underground electrical draftsman called Harry Beck decided he wanted to create a map that would strip the network back to its basics. He based the map on the circuit diagram drawings that he did in his day job. The Tube continued to modernise and develop, simultaneously carving out its future and creating its history.
But there isn't any roar when the clock strikes 4, everything stops for tea.
During the Second World War, it became a mass hiding place.
It was a place to go for refuge and safety. That was how it's promoted in some very handsome posters which were coloured in very warm hues. And so the Tube was your ally and your friend. And that's why when the war came, Londoners made a beeline for the stations, for the Tube. And they took shelter there. And the authorities didn't want that to happen. It was never planned, but it just became a fait accompli, and eventually the authorities had to go along with it, and they became official bomb shelters.
Now the city's hidden web carries nearly 4 million passengers a day. It's been at the centre of political wranglings and life-changing global events. And it set a trend that went worldwide. Ria Chatterjee, London Tonight.
And there's more about the Tube's 150th birthday on our website. We've got a quiz on there as well to test just how well you know the Tube, plus lots of fascinating archive and some fun facts and figures about the system. The address is itv.com/London. And from the Underground's past to the future of the railway, new images have been released showing some of the latest stages of work on Crossrail. It includes a new nature reserve for the RSPB Wallasey Island in Essex. Crossrail is Europe's largest construction project, with 7,000 people working at more than 40 sites across London and the South East. Crossrail will link Maidenhead and Heathrow to the west of London and Shenfield and Abbey Wood to the east. The first trains are due to run in 2017. Now, old